Hello and welcome to the LineStar UFC show. It's for UFC 283. We are back, first pay-per-view card of the year, and once again we are here with Chris Guy. I'm your host Tyler Wiemann. Let's do it.
Big weekend.
Yep.
Big fight card. Big first pay-per-view of the year. Dallas Cowboys on deck on Sunday.
Seems like you might be a little more excited for your Cowboys.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I know how it's going to end. I know how the season always ends.
Oh,
Spoiler.
ouch.
Spoiler alert.
Ouch.
I've been here too many times. I've been hurt too many times.
And now you got Mike McCarthy running the show, you know? It's rough times.
Yeah.
Rough times. Well, with that said, you have anybody you're calling out this week?
You know, I was looking at that, and this is a tough card. There's a lot of killers on this card. This one's going to surprise you. Shogun Rua.
No.
Shogun Rua. I think he's a little too late in the tooth, but I have history. My first Muay Thai coach I ever learned Muay Thai from, City Boxing, downtown San Diego, Brandon the Truth Vera, has history with this man, Shogun Rua. They fought in the UFC. I thought Brandon got robbed in that fight. He also got robbed against Randy Couture. So there's a little history there. I don't know. I've been watching these late Shogun Rua. He's 40-something years old now. He's in his 40s. He's a little older than me now. And he's looking slow, and I think the speed problem, I think he's going to have a real issue today. That or Deiveson Figueiredo. I'm going to pick on a dude a little smaller than me. A lot smaller than me. I got at least 20 pounds. I know he throws little Thor hammers.
Are you feeling okay today?
I think his cardio is going to be. You saw this. I think I can stay on the outside. I got the length. I got size on Deiveson.
You got size on him.
I just want to see how long I can last against these guys.
You are a madman. All right, so like always, we're gonna start from the the first fight of the night, go into the last fight, and we'll start off with Daniel Marcos versus Simon Oliveira.
Cool little matchup right here. This is striker versus grappler. Simon Oliveira, he's a near 100% finisher. He's 18-4. He's got 11 submissions. 5 KOs rather. So he's finished 16 out of his 18 professional wins. Lots of subs. Problem for him is, just like with all of these guys, these jiu-jitsu guys, is getting the fight to the mat. If it's not there, the jiu-jitsu takedowns. If it's not there, he's going to be left stranded out on his feet. This dude, I watched Daniel Marcos on the Contender Series, his fight. He's slick on the feet. This guy's got really good striking, real sneaky striking, good tight hands, throws a lot of up kicks, the Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson up kicks, those snap kicks. He can turn them into round kicks, attacks the legs, destroys the calf. He had basically amputated his dude's leg in the Contender Series. Guy barely had to limp to the finish line. I was really impressed. And his takedown defense was good. Daniel Marcos fought a little wrestler on the Contender Series, Brandon Lewis, stuffed pretty much every single takedown, so I was impressed with his takedown defense. If Simon Oliveira has struggles to get this fight to the ground, it's going to be bad news bears. But the thing about Oliveira that gives him value, he has a specialty. He has 7 guillotine chokes, so he's real handy with those guillotines. You can pull guillotines from any position as long as from the clinch. You can be real sneaky with them, pull the guard from there. So there's definitely a lot of value. Actually, I think Simon Oliveira is the favorite in this one, -140 favorite. So I like the underdog look at Marcos. I think he's got a continuous short combinations. He's a combination striker. He's a fairly high strikes type of fighter, but he's going to go forward. He's going to have the cardio late. I like Daniel Marcos.
Does he have the power to finish it?
I don't know about that. He couldn't finish his guy on the Contender Series, even though not lack of trying. I mean, he was going out there trying to take his head off, especially in the late seconds. But I like Simon Oliveira. He's a very good fighter. He's got a lot of experience, so he's been in there with some guys. He's going to be able to get to the late. I like a decision from Daniel Marcos, but there is definitely finishing value for Simon Oliveira. He can enter this on the feet. On the ground.
It looks like ownership's pretty light on that fight, so it does sound like one that might be good to target.
Yeah, take a shot. I think the finishing threat is Oliveira. So there's that, but then the underdog, I like the underdog value of Daniel Marcos.
All right, so next fight, we have Nunes versus Firearm. It's plus 400 for Firearm and minus 546 for Nunes.
Nunes is a little killer. I was surprised she was this favored, but she's fighting a really tall striker, and she has a win over a super tall professional kickboxer in Bay Malecki, who she pounded out, I think in the first round. She's very good. This girl, Josiane Nunes, she's really good at getting inside on taller fighters. She throws nothing but bombs.
She throws bombs too.
Just overhand smashes everything.
Yeah.
She just wades into the pocket. She don't care. Zara Dos Santos, she's not very good. I just got to come out there. She's not very good. Her striking is, she's long. She can cause a little problems in trying to get inside, but I think I don't see a whole lot of value in her. I think this is a Josiane Nunes. Now, the issue is that she's a high DraftKings the salary cap hit.
Yep.
Can she get it done in the first round? I don't think she can get it done in the first round, but I think she can knock out Dos Santos, but I think it's going to be later in the fight. She's going to have to accumulate some damage first.
Zaire has lost both her fights in the UFC in the first round with like 3 minutes and 30 into the first round. So
she can't handle pressure.
She's got a history of losing early.
She's straight up and down, no head movement, can't handle pressure. She kind of, when she's under attack, you'll see this with fighters sometimes. They get tall like this as shots are coming at them. That's never a good thing. The chin comes up, the head comes up. This young lady, Josiane Nunes, she just throws hammers over the top and just... it's a bad matchup for Dos Santos. Now, Nunes isn't like a killer, but this is just such a bad matchup. But Josiane just goes for it. I mean, she just does not care. She's just going to swing until whenever. Yeah,
as far as DFS, it's likely take Nunes or pass.
Yeah.
So next, we will go to Warley Alves versus Nicholas Dalby. Alves is minus 120 favorite. Dalby is plus 102. This could be an interesting one.
Yeah, you just don't know what you're going to get from Warley Alves. This is one of the original, I think he fought in one of the original Tufts Ultimate Fighter in Brazil. I don't remember if he won it. He might have. He's really good sometimes, and then he gets blasted out of there other times. He fought Munir Lazez, who's also on this card, and just blasted him out. It was one of the nastiest TKOs I've seen. He just put his left leg on repeat and just boom, 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 hit him to the liver like 3 consecutive times. Lightning quick speed, has hands, has power, has the ground game, has the submission game, has all of that. Tough fighter. He has a win over Colby Covington. And he choked Colby Covington out for a long time. Colby Covington's only loss was to Warley Alves, a guillotine choke with like a minute and a half in the first round. So he has big-time wins on his resume. Really, really proven experience. Nicholas Dalby's just kind of a little underrated dog. Like he has a win out of D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez. He has a win over him. He went toe-to-toe with him. I thought he did win that fight. It was a close fight, but I thought he outstruck Rodriguez in that fight. He's fought a lot of tough competition. He's coming off a win against Claudio Silva, who's another jiu-jitsu guy. So, Warley Alves has excellent jiu-jitsu. I think he's going to try to win this fight on the ground. I think he's going to try to get the takedown so he's got good top pressure. You'll get those points too. But, and I think Claudio Silva, he gassed after the first round. That's where Dalby's going to have to take over is these late rounds when Warley, a similar guy with a similar style, with a similar gas tank, when you grapple and you wrestle and you can't get those early finishes, wears on you for later in the fight. Nicholas Dalby's going to have to come from behind in this one. The first round's probably going to look pretty but I think I'm going to go with another underdog. I like the underdog value here. He's a higher output striker. I don't know if he can finish Warley Alves. I think Warley Alves could finish Nicholas Dalby, so there's a finishing value on Warley Alves, but I like just straight up pick him. I like the dog Nicholas Dalby.
Nice. The one issue I have with Dalby as far as DFS is it just seems like his output isn't quite there. And
he's a 50. He's around 50.
Yeah.
In a 3-round fight, he'll give you around 50. I think he has a high of like 84, which is, you
nailed it exactly.
Is that how?
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes I remember things, but most of the time I can't remember anything. I'm terrible in names, but I kind of remember numbers. So Dalby will get you around that 50 range if he can keep his standing. See, the thing here is going to might be below that because he's going to have to be fighting off of his back or fighting with his back against the cage.
Yeah.
And defending a lot of takedowns, at least early. So he's going to have to come from behind with that.
And he has had success defending takedowns.
Yeah.
Dalby has.
Yeah, so. He's solid. He's solid all around fighter. And so if Warley Alves gets, if he comes out half stepping on the feet or can't get the fight to the ground regularly, he's going to struggle.
All right, let's move it on to the next fight here. This is one that I'm pretty interested in. And we have Terrence McKinney versus Ismail Bonfirm. Bonfirm is plus 104. McKinney is the favorite, minus 126.
So these dudes, the Bonfim brothers, there's two of them on this card. They look like twins. And so you're going to get a double dose of these guys. They have exact styles. Terrence McKinney, this dude is kill or be killed, the very definition of it. I think he's got, he's 15 fights. He has 15 fights that ended in the first round. Mm-hmm. Win or lose, doesn't matter. And he's had 18 professional fights. So 15 of his 18 professional fights ended in the first round. This guy just goes for it. He just flails his limbs, kicks, hands, just creates nothing but chaos in those opening minutes. And he either blasts you out of there, which happens more times than not. He just overwhelms you with pressure and volume. And he's got excellent wrestling. He can pick you up, slam you on your head, and choke you out. He's got 8 submissions, 5 TKOs for his career. But it's after that 3-minute mark. He had a head of steam built against Drew Dober, which was impressive. But then he gassed after the 3-minute mark, and Drew Dober just started. Drew Dober's a dog, though. Yeah. Drew Dober's an absolute monster. So he came back against Eric Gonzalez and got a win, a first round 2-minute win. Eric Gonzalez isn't really high competition especially compared to Drew Dober. I'm liking Ismail Bonfim. I don't think that Terrence McKinney is going to be able to just Suge Knight in the parking lot just run right over this guy. I don't think that's going to happen. These guys look pretty, from what I've seen. Their fights on the Contender Series and some of their highlights, they're very technical on the feet. I think they'll be able to Ismail will be able to avoid some of the big heavy strikes. He's got the jiu-jitsu to be able to keep it standing. I think it's going to be tough going for Terrence McKinney if he can't get one of his patented early finishes. So I'm going with Bonfim, and I think, is he a dog?
He is a dog.
Another dog.
Yep. So far, 3 of the first 4 fights you've been calling the underdog on.
These Bonfim brothers, I mean, they're aggressive. They put combinations together. They throw 2-3 punch combinations, really straight punches, really good aggression. They're Brazilian, so they got jiu-jitsu. I haven't seen it, but I guarantee they have it. I know the other Bonfim brother we'll get to, he's a submission specialist, so I'm guaranteeing that Ismail Bonfim is not going to be no joke on the ground.
Yeah. So next fight, we will go with Cody Stamann versus Luan Lacerda. Lacerda is plus 288. Stamann is minus 373. What you thinking on this one?
So I don't know a whole lot about Luan. I know he's Jose Aldo's training partner during when he was fighting Max Holloway for those training camps. He lost those fights. Luan isn't very good on the feet. He's a submission specialist. This is going to have to be another one of those sell out to get the fight to the mat. And if he can't, it's going to be tough sledding for him. He's got 10 submissions and 12 professional wins. So he's 12-1 with 10 subs. It's kill or be killed on the mat. Cody Stamann, the problem with that is Cody Stamann's he's a wrestler. He's a grappler first. He has a really close decision loss to Merab Valashvili. He fought him fairly recently, I believe, in the last couple of years. He fought him in 2021. Yep. That was a very close fight. Merab couldn't take him down with any regular. I don't think he took him down at all. Maybe once. Maybe Stamann got one takedown. It was mostly against the fence in the clinch. He's got very good grappling. I don't know if Luan is going to be able to get this to the mat where he can pull off a submission. Mm-hmm. Cody Stamann's got the prototypical wrestler striking. Just basic 1-2s, 2-3s, 3-2s, those kind of things. Just cross hook. That's basically what he's got. But he's got good power, and he's got a great. He's fought the highest level competition. He's Merab Valashvili, Saeed Nurmagomedov, Jimmy Rivera was had a 19-0 run for a while. Fought Yadong Song, Aljamain Sterling, Alejandro Perez fought for a title. Crazy. I think this is gonna be a good matchup for him. The question is, can he get the finish? Eddie Wineland was his last finish, which was his last fight, but Eddie Wineland's glass jaw. He's throwing rocks with a glass jaw.
Yeah.
So that I wouldn't look too much at that. I think it's gonna go to a decision.
The one thing with Stamann though is he can put together multiple takedowns, so he still has decent upside with that.
And he won't be afraid to still go to, even though this is a submission specialist right here, he won't be afraid to try to go for that's his bread and butter is grappling. He's gonna be tough to finish from his back, from somebody to finish from his back, especially a guy who I believe is making his debut. From the LFA. So I mean, this is a tough draw against a real savvy veteran for a guy like Luan. But hey, if you need a low tier guy with a lot of upside, it's going to be submission or bust for him. So his path to victory is a finish. So if you're going to bet on him, if it's something, you got to bet a submission on him. And when you got guys that are going for takedowns. Look at all these guillotines. He's got guillotines on his record, so that's a natural defense for takedowns. So if you're looking for one of those, under the radar dudes that very few people are probably going to have, it's there's a good shot right there. But I think style wise, this is Cody Stamann's fight. Yeah,
at almost plus 300, his ownership will be pretty low too. So, so next we will go to Shamil. How do you pronounce his name?
Abdurakhimov. Shamil Abdurakhimov.
All right. So he is a plus 663. And then we have Halton Almeida at minus 1,064. It is, that's pretty much money laundering territory. Yeah. Only way you bet on a win there.
We've talked about Halton Almeida before. This dude is a savage. I'll tell you right now, I called it last time, and I'll tell you again, Shamil, he's going to come out, he's going to throw the snap kick up the middle, he's going to throw that soccer punt kick right off the bat, and then he's going to shoot for the takedown. That's what he does in every single one of his fights. That's what he's going to do. Yep. And once he gets that takedown, it's ground and pound city from there. It's chokes. It's 11 submissions and 17 wins. 17-2 with 11 submissions, 6 TKOs. Yep. KOs. Those are probably. He's got heavy power on the feet. I don't like his stand up that much, but he throws heavy. He throws hard. He can knock you out on the feet. I haven't seen all his fights, but I would assume that a lot of those TKO KOs are probably from the top position on the mat. This is a bad matchup for almost anybody in this division. I mean, this guy you could probably throw Halton Almeida, and this is at heavyweight. He was fighting also at light heavyweight. If he can go down to light heavyweight, he could give anybody right now Glover Teixeira. He's not going to be able to take Halton Almeida down and dominate him like that. And that would be. I mean, he's got a guy like Hill who's fighting Jamahal Hill, and this guy's a bad matchup for a lot of people. I don't know how he'll do at the top if he stays at heavyweight, but this dude is a savage. I mean, is there any value on Shamil? No.
Just hard now.
There's just not.
No.
He's going to get taken down. He's going to get beaten up. I think what these matchups are, because Halton hasn't fought the really good competition yet. This will be his fourth fight in the UFC since the Contender Series, and you see some of these names. Danilo Marquez, his TKO against Danilo Marquez. That guy's a real legit fighter, but other than that, they're probably having a real hard time finding this guy fights. That's what this tells me, that he's fighting a guy like Shamil. It's like they can't find anybody that will agree to
Nobody wants to fight him.
So they got to try to keep him busy somehow to keep his name out there, because he's going to be a guy to be reckoned with, fighting for titles probably at some point.
I mean, if you're ranked, you won't want to fight him because if you can only go down. Yeah,
exactly.
So.
And if, otherwise you're just signing up to get your ass kicked, and like Parker Porter did. But hats off to him for taking that fight the last time out.
So let's go to the next fight. This should be a fun one. We have Gabriel Bonfim versus Manar Lazaz.
This is the other half of the Bonfim brothers. This dude's a submission specialist. This is a crazy matchup. 13-0, undefeated fighter, 100% finishing rate, 10 subs, 3 TKO KOs. He has a mirror image to his brother on the feet. Real good stand-up, real good aggression on the feet, 1-2s down the pipe. He's going to be in Munir. The problem with Munir, he's a world-class striker, first of all. This guy he's got highlight reels, head kick highlight reels that'll amaze you. Really, really intricate techniques. Standing knee counters, standing knees at the end of his combinations, really tight, short hands, good hand speed. He also likes to mix in some wrestling and some takedowns in there. I don't think he's going to be able to do that or want to do that against a guy like Gabriel Bonfim. So he's going to have to keep it on his feet. If it stays standing, I like Munir as an underdog, but the problem with him has been Fight IQ, he's made some curious decisions while he's in there, and then there's been times where he's not engaging enough, and he's kind of just barely getting by, barely doing enough to get wins. When he opens up with his stand-up like he did in his last fight against Ange Lusa, at the very end in the third round, you really saw him actually open up, and you got to see his potential as a striker, and is scary. You can put combinations, feet behind hands, really fast straight punches that he can beat you to the punch. I don't know a whole lot about these Bonfim brothers, but from what little I've seen, I think these guys are like super legit. I think if Gabriel Bonfim can get this fight to the mat, he'll be able to grind out some. I don't know if he can finish. I don't know if you're going to get finishing. Actually, I think both of these guys can finish it. I think they both finish it on the feet. I think Munir Lazez, we'll see what Gabriel Bonfim, his Contender Series fight was only 4 minutes. So we'll see if he can get it to the third round, those 10 to 15 minute section right there. We'll see. That's where you're going to see a Munir Lazez be able to like take over. So I like the underdog value on Munir Lazez. That was one of my 2020 twin sleepers. I'll probably drop some ducats on him because I like him just as a straight up bet. But my official pick is Gabriel Bonfim. And there's definitely value on a choke finish for him right there.
Cool. And now we'll go to the next fight. We have Thiago Moses versus Melakizael Costa. So Costa is plus 300. Moses is minus 385. Big time favorite.
I think he gets. I think it's because I think it's a late replacement fight for. I have no idea how to say his name. Costa. We'll go with Melquiz. I think he goes by Melk for short. So yeah, Melk Costa, 19-5, making his debut. He's got fairly, from what I've seen. I saw some of his LFA fights. It was actually pretty good competition in LFA. A lot of them make the jump over. It's like the minor leagues to the UFC. This is a tough guy to fight in your debut, and I think this is because it was a late replacement fight, or else this wouldn't even be any kind of matchup. Thiago Moises, he went 4 rounds against Islam Makhachev. That's that would be on my tombstone if I went 4 rounds with Islam Makhachev. So he's a grappler first. He's got a lot of good submissions, a lot of good rear naked chokes. He can choke you with one arm. His last fight was a one-arm choke of Christos Giagos, who is also a grappler and jiu-jitsu specialist. He choked him out with one arm with this. He got the throw. Instead of locking the gable grip or the full-on rear naked, he just grabbed his own arm and like held it like this and choked him out with one arm. It was nasty. So he's fight high-level competition his whole career. Has a win over Bobby Green, which was a Valero robbery. Bobby Green won that fight. No one gets more ripped off, maybe Angela Hill, than Bobby Green. But
yeah, you're going to go to the grave rooting for Bobby Green.
I love me some Bobby Green. Thiago Moises, I like the finish. I think he gets the finish here. I think if you're looking for a finish on here, he's heavily favored.
Yep.
But I think he's more one of those guys at the top tier like Nunes. I'm taking Thiago Moises because I think he can get the submission before Nunes would get like a TKO.
Okay.
But Melk's got good stand-up. So if he can keep it standing, he's got nice technical. He doesn't get out of sorts. He doesn't get out fight beyond his abilities. He stays within himself, puts combinations together well, attacks the legs. So Thiago Moises is just a vanilla striker on the feet, big power strike. So he's got big right hand, he's got a big right leg, and that's pretty much it. He's a 2-3, 3-2 type of fighter. He throws hooks and right hands. That's basically what you're going to get from him. But he's got KO power, and he throws heavy. But he shines on the mat, and I think that's where he's going to get the win.
All right. So next we have Brazilian Debo Gregory Rodriguez at minus 314 versus Bruno Ferreira at plus 250.
So outside of Bobby Green, this is my next favorite fighter right now. Is
it just because he looks like the Brazilian Debo?
I love Brazilian Debo. I love me some Brazil. He's just a killer. And what's crazy is he got his start on the Contender Series. He got knocked out. He got knocked out by was Jordan Williams, which was surprising. If you've seen everything that Rodriguez has done since that time, you'd be like, how did he lose that fight and get knocked out in that fight? He's been a killer since he's come over to the UFC. He had to go to LFA right after that, but he worked his way back up. He's 4-1. I thought the Armen Petrosian fight, go back and watch that and tell me he didn't win that fight. He all but dominated the 3 minutes or so of the last round. I thought he got ripped off. Armen Petrosian,
Yeah,
solid fighter.
I thought he got ripped off on that
He had
one
the
too.
back, he had the ground, he had the back, he had him hurt on the feet, and then he got outworked in the last like minute and a half or so. So it looked bad at the end of the fight, but I thought he won that fight. He would be an undefeated fighter in the UFC right now.
He's fought some pretty good guys too.
Look at Julian Marquez and Chidi Njokuani. He finished both of them on the feet. He finished the Iron Turtle on the feet. So his last 3 victories are all finishes.
Yep.
Chidi Njokuani is a striking,
I was surprised
monster.
he was able to do that to Chidi.
I didn't have
He
him
looked
doing
good.
that. I thought he was going to take him down and dominate. That's the thing about Rodriguez is we talk a lot about his striking because he's hittable on the feet. That's why I don't like. This is going to be a weird matchup for him because Bruno Ferreira, I think this is actually another late replacement. He throws nothing but bombs, and Gregory is, he gets in the firefights. He loves firefights, and he's very hittable, very upright posture, not a lot of head movement. Where this dude is crazy good is on the mat. His takedowns, his back takes, his submissions. He's a wizard when it comes to the mat. So I expect him to start using, as he climbs up the ladder here and starts fighting more dangerous strikers, he's going to want to start grappling a little more. And he's just as good as on the feet as he is on the ground. I mean, he's solid. Don't know a whole lot about Bruno. He came out in the Contender Series and whomped through somebody in like a minute and a half. He reminded me kind of like a bigger Gilbert Burns type of dude, just a big power striker on the feet.
Yeah.
Round hook punches, left leg. He's got a lot of power. He's he's one of those Brazilian guys. These guys don't lack for aggression. That's like their trademark. As a Brazilians, you're going to be in a war. That guy's coming right for you. So he could definitely. I like, from what little I've seen, to take in. What do they have the odds on?
Plus 250 for Bruno, minus 314 for G-Rod.
That plus 250. That plus 250 is a magical little place right there. I think there's there's definitely sleeper underdog value on a Bruno Ferreira. I just get the feeling he's a 9-0. He's undefeated. 100% finishing rate, 6 TKO KOs, and 3 submissions. I think, if he can just go in there and just throw caution to the wind and just go for, he's got a short play. I think when you're behind the gun like this and taking a short notice fight, you just got to go in there and try to get that first round win. Yeah. And after that, and it's like, whatever, we'll see what happens after that. But I like the underdog value on him. He's an underdog, a low tier guy that you probably want to target.
Nice.
I'm
going against your boy.
I'm going with Devo.
Boy.
I'm taking Devo. At the end of the day, I think he gets a finish too. I think he can finish it either on the mat with a knockdown kind of finish, or just on the feet. I think he can catch him. He's got the more straight punches beat wide punches every single day of the week. Remember that.
All right, so the next fight, we have Mauricio Rua at plus 176 versus Ihor Potieria minus 220. I like this one.
I do too. Listen, Mauricio, this guy, if you go back and watch him in Pride days, you'd be like, this was the baddest dude like ever in the world. And he came over to UFC. He actually lost his UFC debut against Forrest Griffin. He's been here ever since. He's 40-something years old now, 41 years old. This is going to be a tough fight. I think Ihor Potieria, he's a solid fighter. He gassed in his debut. He fought a little heathen though. He slept on Nikolai Negumarianu. He slept on that guy, and he got pounded because I think he came out and he thought he was just going to go and run through. Because Nikolai is one of those guys. He's just kind of a sloppy fighter, but he's super aggressive, and he just wasn't ready to get met head on like that. And he gassed. He looked terrible. Ihor looked terrible in the second round. I mean, he was on his feet, bare, hands on the hips type stuff. But he's got really slick striking, really quick hands. Straight punches, heavy kicks, slip counters. He's got really intricate striking. He looks solid. When he was able to let his hands go and wasn't, hands on the knees, huffing and puffing, he looked like he can. I mean, his a Contender Series fight was a first round TKO. I think for Mauricio, if this was in their primes, this is laughable. Mauricio Shogun Rua. Yeah. That's why I'm trying to get in. I want to get hit by Shogun Rua. I want to say I took a leg kick from Shogun Rua. I mean, this guy's an absolute legend. This is going to be a tough fight to watch, I think, man. Unless, if Mauricio can if his chin can hold up, to that 2.5 rounds mark, I think there's late value on Mauricio maybe coming from behind and stealing a victory. But I think it's, he could definitely get the finish late. Probably been a long time since he got a decision, TKO. He knocked out 2018 was his last TKO against Tyson Pedro, who's a killer. So
you think he could lay the gloves down after this fight?
I think this is it.
Yeah.
I think this has to be it. I mean, you're fighting a guy who's coming off of a loss in a debut, and I know Mauricio's coming off of 2 losses in a row. Paul Craig smoked him. That OSP fight was nip-tuck. I mean, I don't know who won that fight. It was just kind of like not a whole lot happened. There wasn't a lot to judge in that fight, his last fight, which was in May. I can't believe he fought last year. But, yeah, I think this is it for him. I'm going with Ihor. Probably to get a finish, but there's late value on Mauricio Shogun Rua. There's definitely late value if he can survive and get and Ihor gasses out. That's what you don't want to be in the octagon gassed out.
Surprisingly, Shogun is actually looking like he's going to be higher owned.
Then Ihor?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking Ihor on that.
Yeah.
I think the value on Ihor, Mauricio's been in too many wars and he's super slow now. You can see it in the body, carrying the extra body for that. He's not that guy anymore. But, he's still very good. He's still, this is what he's been doing his whole life, man.
Literally his whole life.
Yeah, so it's going to be hard, to just go out there and mop him. But give me Ihor.
All right. Now let's move on to the main event. First, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It helps us out tremendously to keep giving us all the free content out. So now we got the main event. We have Johnny Walker versus Paul Craig. Is Paul Craig going to have another arm on the wall?
Listen, he's one of, like, with Derek Lewis, with a lot of these guys, he's one of the ultimate underdog pick'ems. He can sub anybody in the division. I mean, he has a last-second Ankalaev submission. He subbed Nikita Krylov after getting absolutely hammered in the first round. He hit him with like a nasty slick triangle. I think there's a ton of value on Paul Craig in that opening round. I think this is one of the. I don't like to bet rounds very often, but I think this is one of those ones where it's going to be done early. It's going to be in the first round, so I think you can get extra value if you take. I like the submission win for Johnny Walker. I think he can hammer from the top position. Maybe you get a situation maybe on the feet where he knocks Paul Craig down, or even from the top position. The thing about Paul Craig on the ground, he takes a lot of punishment. The way you fight Paul Craig with that slick guard, because he's going to pull guard. He's going to pull you down on top of you. He's going to go right for your shoulders. He's going to go for shoulder cranks. Yep. He's arm bars. He's going to try to tie you up right away. The best way to fight somebody like that in jiu-jitsu, in MMA, fighting a jiu-jitsu guy like that with an active guard, is to punch through it. You start landing some bombs, like the old adage says, you get a black belt, punch him in the face, it becomes a purple belt, punch him in the face again, it becomes a brown belt, and so forth.
Yep.
So that goes down and down. So if you're a Johnny Walker, you don't play around, you just start throwing bombs. And you can do that, and then you get a situation where maybe Paul Craig gives up his back. Johnny Walker, what I've been doing, I've been sleeping on his ground game. I think he's got some kind of slick ground game. He fought Jan Kutalaba in his last one, got taken down, was on his back, reversed, got top position, got the choke. I think he's got some submission. That's plus 1,200. But more than likely, I'm going first round TKO for him. Mm-hmm. I think his jiu-jitsu is good enough to stay out of trouble with Paul Craig.
Yeah.
But as a straight up underdog, there's people I always bet on. Derek Lewis is one we were just talking about. He fights next week. I'm always going to drop because you never know what's going to happen. And Paul Craig is another one and he can get smoked for 14 minutes and 55 seconds and still pull off the sub.
He's proven it.
He can do it.
He's proven it.
He's going to drag you to the mat and he's going to go right for submissions. The problem he has mostly is when he gets stuck on the feet and can't get the takedowns anymore. Yeah. Then he's not very good. His kicks are better than his hands, but then Johnny Walker is he just throws bombs all over the place. So I like Johnny Walker in this, but another low tier guy with a big upside.
And
but it's sub or bust for him for Paul Craig, because if you don't get the sub, he's not going to put up numbers.
To your point, he has 2 wins in the last minute of a fight.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Both subs. Both subs.
It had to be submissions.
Yep.
I mean, because he's. This dude, he's amazing. He's one of the best submission artists. And he got 13 subs in his career, 13 out of it. He's a 100% submission fighter, 16-5, 3 TKO KOs, and 13 subs. So the value is there. If he's going to win, he has to finish it. Why? How do we know that? Because his whole history has been he only wins by finish. So that's the upside on Paul Craig.
Yeah. So, all right. So, next fight of the night, we have Jessica Andrade versus Laura Murphy. Laura Murphy's plus 372, Andrade minus 495.
Yeah, this is Jessica Andrade's a little wrecking ball. I mean, she just goes in there and throws. Yeah. I mean, when she gets here, she came in that second Rose Namajunas fight. They're like halfway through the fight, she changed up her whole style. She started doing the Mike Tyson bobbing and weaving and coming out and throwing mad hooks. When she starts getting that Mike Tyson bob and weaving and starts throwing, shoe shine in the body and starts coming up to the head, her pressure is a lot for ladies to handle. She beats people with pressure. She picked up Rose Namajunas, dumped her on her head and knocked her out and won the title briefly. And then she ran into Wei Li Jiang, who's a savage. Her only losses, I think, are the Wei Li Jiang and recent losses, Wei Li Jiang and Shevchenko. Oh, she lost to Namajunas also, but she got that win also. She's coming off of a win against Amanda Lemos where she straight up bully choked her against the cage. A standing arm triangle. Yeah. You do not see that. Usually when you get that position, if you're able to get that standing, you use that to trip and end up on the ground and finish it from there. That's like a white belt thing. You see white belts getting caught in standing triangles like that. And she caught a monster in Amanda Lemos who might be fighting for the title next. Explosive monster. Choked her out. I mean, she looked terrified. Yeah. Amanda Lemos looked scared. She was like seeing, the gates of heaven opening up. She was like seeing the end. The end was near for her when she was caught in that. Lauren Murphy, she's a winner. I'll say this for Lauren Murphy. She wins. She's Al Davis just win, baby.
She figures it out.
She's just grimy. She's grimy. She puts you up against the cage, all the gray areas, up against the cage, in the clinch, on the breaks in the clinch, striking off of that. Those are all the gray areas where you can win fights. I just don't. I think she normally she's gonna need takedowns to grind out some of this, and I don't think she's gonna get them. Yeah. I think Jessica Andrade is an excellent grappler herself and wrestler herself, but if this stays standing, Lauren Murphy, she's got the chin to be able to get to the final bell. I just don't think she has the physical abilities. She doesn't have the speed. She doesn't have the intricate combinations. She's very vanilla on the feet. This is a bad matchup for Lauren Murphy, but she's a dog. Yeah. But she's a dog, so I don't want to completely write her off, but I'm going to kind of completely write her off because Jessica Andrade is just like that level. She's like, here's championship level and at this weight class, and she's like right there. Yeah. Depending on who, I don't think she could beat a Shevchenko, but, if Lemos gets the belt, all that opens up, because I think Shevchenko's taking an L this year. I think she's taking an L. I thought she took an L last year against Taylor Santos. I thought Taylor Santos got robbed. That was my robbery of the year, actually.
Definitely seems like she has peaked.
And she has trouble offensively as a striker. She's a counter striker, and when she got behind in the fight and had to rely on her own offense to initiate the striking, she struggled against Santos. Yeah. It was the headbutt. Remember, she broke Santos's eye socket. That right when that happened, that was the best thing that ever happened in Shevchenko's recent career because that saved her. But Andrade is that level, and Lauren Murphy, she got drubbed. She made it to the fourth round against Shevchenko because she's just super tough. But this is Andrade's fight.
Yeah. All right. So next fight, we have Gilbert Burns minus 472 versus Neil Magny plus 357.
I love Neil Magny. This dude's grimy. But this seems to me like a keep him busy fight. Like the top of the welterweight division is really tied up right now. So you're trying to keep Gilbert Burns' name out there. You're trying to keep him active, and it's probably hard. I thought he should fight Bilal Muhammad. I don't know what we're doing here with Neil Magny. Neil's coming off of a good win against Daniel Rodriguez. Choked him out in the last round. Lost to Shavkat, the furry Shavkat Rachmanov, who's on a championship trajectory. Then he has a couple. Beat Jeff Neal in a decision. Beat Max Griffin. I mean, this guy has he's approaching, I think, probably close to 30 UFC fights. Yeah. If you get 30 UFC fights, you're automatically in the Hall of Fame. I think this is number 29 for him, possibly somewhere 28, 29 for him. Neil Magny's definitely get to 30. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think you look at his record at fighting the absolute toughest competition in the UFC since all the way down his 2013. since 2013, 10 years. So he's 10 years in the octagon. I just think he's going to have a hard time. He's slow. His striking is slow. His hand speed is slow. He likes to grind. He likes to, get you down. He's a guy that he can't have all striking or all grappling. He has to have a fair mix of both of them. He has to grind you. He has to wear you down and then take over. He has good range management. But this dude, you saw Khamzat fight. Gilbert Burns impressed me in this fight. Like I didn't know Gilbert Burns was that good. Like even though he had Usman on skates in the first round, that was more of just superpower and the speed caught him. And Usman's been known to get caught, but then he got hammered after that. But his ability to go toe-to-toe with Khamzat, drop Khamzat in the second. If there's like 15 seconds left in that second round where he dropped Khamzat and folded Khamzat to his feet, I think he might have been able to finish Khamzat. Yeah. He definitely showed me a lot. He's got power, speed. His right leg, his right hand are nasty. I think if he implements the ground game, Neil Magny's big hole is better grapplers. They take him down, they hold him, they control him, they sub him. Shavkat is the guy who did that. He also, Michael Chiesa, and that was the main event. Michael Chiesa took him down and dominated in the grappling. I didn't think that would happen that day. So just better grapplers. When he can't implement the ground game into his striking, he struggles. This is a bad fight for him. Not a high output fighter. He's going to have to fight from the clinch, probably with his back against the cage. I think this is Gilbert Burns. I think he's a long shot. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Neil Magny, so that's kind of out there. He's not a high output type of fighter either, but I think he's going to have the top control. I think he's going to fight like he did against Wonder Boy. Gilbert Burns came out there, didn't mess around, got the fight to the ground, got some top control, and just said, hell no, I'm not messing with Wonder Boy striking. And you saw why. Yep. You saw why when he fought Kevin Holland recently.
Yep, that was a good one.
So I got Gilbert Burns. Neil Magny, always a tough dude. If you're looking for a low tier guy, if he can grind it and keep it on the feet, there's some value on him as opposed to other people. But he's not going to win this fight.
Yeah. All right. So the next fight, my favorite one of the night, we got a guy who has only fought one guy since 2020.
It's the pandemic.
We have Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. Do have to say, I hope Moreno pulls this one out.
Who do you think wins?
Moreno.
You got Moreno? I got Moreno too. I think if you look at the victories, Moreno obviously has if you go by Diaz brother rules, because Diaz always says he got the better of McGregor because he finished the fight that he won, and McGregor only got a decision. That's the same thing here. Brandon Moreno finished Deiveson Figueiredo in the second fight, took his back, I think, in the third round, choked him out, dominated him, buzzsaw through Deiveson Figueiredo in that night. And that's the key to this fight, is Deiveson Figueiredo. Who is going to show up? Dak Prescott type of fighter right here. You don't know which one's going to show up. He's going to throw ducks across the middle and get picked off, and you're like, what the hell is he doing? Or he's going to go out there like he did last week against the Bucks and throw dimes all over and get 5 touchdowns. You don't know which Deiveson Figueiredo is going to show up.
And it's been a full year since he's fought.
Because he didn't want to take that fight right away. Yeah. He wanted Brandon Moreno to fight another fight. And I think that's a big, big advantage for Brandon Moreno. When you have to prepare for somebody else, you sharpen other tools. When you fight a guy for the 4th time, it's like a sparring partner at this point. You're so familiar with him that you're not really that nervous, not knowing what to expect kind of thing. Now, he did fight Carl France. That was the second time he fought him, too.
He looked good, too.
He looked good. His hands are crispy. The thing about Brandon Moreno that Deiveson Figueiredo is that dog. Deiveson, when the tough gets going, the going gets tough for Deiveson Figueiredo, he gets that McGregor kind of Amanda Nunes kind of vibe to him, where he kind of looks for a way out. I think not always, because then there's sometimes like the third fight where it was just a dog fight the whole way through. You just don't know what. And his corner was saying that. His own team was saying, I was telling you before the fight, that he struggled with his weight cut again to make it down to this weight class. He's always been a tough. So if he comes out there and he comes with one of those weak gas tanks, I think Brandon Moreno can get the finish. I think here's the thing though. The last fight, Deiveson Figueiredo won because he landed the more damaging punches, and he actually hurt Brandon Moreno throughout the fight. He sat him down. Even rounds that Brandon Moreno was winning, just on output and landing cleaner, he would automatically lose those because then he would get dropped at the very end of the round, and that's always going to be. So Deiveson can definitely finish Brandon Moreno, but I think Brandon Moreno is just too grimy. And this is like, Fast and Furious franchise now at this point. No, we've never had 4 fights in the UFC. Could you imagine a draw? And then we have the 5th the fifth one. So I'm kind of, what's that props? Bet on the draw.
I think this fight needs to be the last between these two, but
You need to finish.
The fights have been so fun to watch.
They are.
Everyone's been a war. I'm excited for it again.
It's just they're really, really evenly matched. They don't really. Deiveson can wrestle. Davison's got very good wrestling. Got very good top control. Brandon Moreno does too. They both at each times in different fights at different times have tried to implement their wrestling into their game plans. Yep. And it's just going to come who can land the shot on the feet. Deiveson for Figueiredo, I think he's got definitely the power advantage. He was sparking Brandon Moreno in the last fight. Brandon Moreno's a dog, man. He's a super dog. So I'm going with the dog because I just don't know what Figueiredo's going to come out there with. Is this the even fight?
It is pretty much pick 'em, yes.
Pick 'em? Yeah.
Minus 122 for Moreno, plus 101 for Figueiredo.
Yeah.
So
I'm going Moreno too. I'm going with him.
You know, it might be slightly hometown-ish bias. Moreno is from Tijuana, which is our neighboring city here. Our brother to the south.
TJ.
Yep. So part of it's definitely that. I want Moreno to win, but I'm excited for the fight. And next, we have the main event. Glover Teixeira versus Jamahal Hill. What do you think? Teixeira's a slight dog at plus 110.
Glover Teixeira as a dog, always value on that. I mean, this is one of those fights. It's probably going to be one of those early first round. I think it's going to be one of those first round fights. It's either Jamahal Hill is going to land something heavy in those opening rounds. Because the question about what I was so surprised with Glover in that Yuri Prochazka fight. First of all, that's the greatest light heavyweight fight all time. It beats Gus versus Bones #1. It did because the back and forth. Yeah. I was surprised with Yuri's ability to get back to his feet, reverse position, his grappling completely surprised me. But Glover's striking impressed me. Go back to that fifth round. The whole 3.5 minutes of that round before it ends up on the mat, before Glover gets the takedown, where I thought he was just going to salt away the win. He dropped Yuri. He didn't drop him, but he had him wobbly on his feet with his hands. I mean, his stand up, he was able to stand and bang with Yuri throughout short little stretches. His bread and butter is that high single, man. He'll put you on the dancing pole. He puts that leg up over your head, kicks out the leg, and then he gets on top of you. And from there, if Jamahal Hill can't keep this standing early and he ends up on the bottom, it's going to be bad news. I'm seeing arm triangle. I can see an arm triangle after some ground and pound, some heavy ground and pound. The thing about Jamahal, I think he's one of the more dangerous strikers in the division. He's got probably the dim mock touch of death striking, power striking. But he doesn't have the savvy grappling that Yuri showed. Yep. If he ends up on his back, I don't know that he gets back to his feet. And she's sure the later the fight goes, if it does go into the second and third round, he's getting taken down. He's definitely not going to be able to get back to his feet. He doesn't have the reversing. He doesn't have the scrambling ability that we saw from Yuri. This is all kill or be killed in the first round. I think if you're Jamahal Hill, you have to go for that early knockout.
Yep.
Pay attention to his lead hand. Everybody pays attention to the right, to the left hand. He's a southpaw. The right hand. He likes to throw it. And when he goes orthodox, he likes to throw nothing but that right hand. He likes to club with it. He likes to check hook with it. He usually starts everything off with that right hand. He did against in his last fight against Thiago Santos. The right hand set up everything. The thing about is Glover. There's times where he's dancing out there. He's doing the Macarena. He's doing the chicken dance. Almost in every fight, he gets hit. He cannot take a shot from this guy. Mm-hmm. I don't think he can take that. But if he goes out there, he's gonna throw the right hand into the knee tap, and he's gonna hike up that single and try to get that takedown. And if it's there for him, good to go. But if it's not, and he can't get it, and Jamahal Hill, if I'm Jamahal Hill, I'm putting the yellow jersey on. And I'm biking. I'm just getting on my bike, and I'm taking laps around that octagon, and I'm just picking away from the outside, picking away. I'm not giving him any easy takedowns. Jamal's got good. Thiago Santos was trying to take him down in that fight. Got him down a couple times back against the cage. Jamahal was pretty tough to get down, was able to get back to his feet, but this Glover's a different ball game, when it comes to the grappling. So I don't know. This is a complete toss-up to me. I think this is our early first round. Pick one of them. Glover Teixeira upside, especially as a slight dog. A first round finish is tons of value on that. I am going with Jamahal Hill. I think he's just going to land something. The thing about Jamahal is he doesn't have to land clean. Go watch his fights. He hurts people with even the one against Johnny Walker, where Johnny Walker was throwing his hands up, starting the wave in there. That was just a glancing off the top type of hit. He doesn't always land clean, but he doesn't have to. He still hurts you, and it's just going to be. Ken Glover, the thing about his striking, he's very good. He was a striker before he became a grappler. He literally, in the second half of his career, made a transition to try to get some longevity because he knew he's not going to stand and bang with these guys. So he started becoming a grappler and changed it all around. So he still got the hands, but the speed. The problem is the speed, and his defense isn't very clean. So I think the chances that Jamahal can just go out there and throw, get into try to draw out an exchange. He needs to draw out some kind of exchange with Glover, and he can beat him to the punch and finish him. So I'm going first round TKO Jamahal Hill, but it could definitely be a submission. It's going to be a Glover submission if he's not able to get it done early.
Yeah. I'm excited for this fight. I do enjoy watching Glover.
40-something years old.
Yeah, it's another one. Could be one of his last as well.
I think if he loses, it's his last fight. If it's not, we got to get that Yuri rematch. Yeah. But Yuri's going to be on the sidelines for a long time. Man.
Yeah, I think it could be his last if he loses. If he loses,
43.
his title hopes are gone.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think he's probably done too.
I could see him, because he's 43, man.
Yeah.
He's in October, he turns 44. Tom Brady of this ish right here. Maybe he could wait out and get that Yuri fight maybe early next year if he only wants to fight once. But at 44 years old,
fighting Yuri, nah.
It's going to be tough. Yeah. I mean, I just hope that's wishful thinking because of that first fight and we got ripped off. It was on the books. It was supposed to go down at the end of the year, and we didn't get to see it.
Yep, Yuri got hurt training.
I think he might walk away if he wins, too. Why not?
He could. I mean, if he's turning down Ankalaev, then...
Because that's the only other fight he'll probably get after this one if he doesn't get Yuri. So that's a bad fight for him.
Yeah.
He can't dominate him on the ground.
Nah. So. All right. Well, that will do it for us today. Thank you, guys. Happy New Year. We'll be back next month.
Don't let them win. I'm insufferable if they win. We make it to the NFC Championship game for the first time in 30 years. Oh, my gosh. You'll see me.
And I had to tell them that I think they're going to win today.
It's tough.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.